with the opening.
Request vector, over. What?
Flight 209er clear for vector 324.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, roger. What's our vector, Victor?
You knew the job was dangerous when you took it, Fred.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Hope you're doing all right.
Good morning.
It's a Sunday morning after all. So, at least here in the States. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Critical Blast says my favorite show of the week. Cool.
Bless.
It's only depending
That's
upon how
because
your
it's
week
the last
starts.
one.
Could be. Or the first one, depending upon how you count your week.
Fair,
Come on in, everybody. YouTube is available. StreamYard or Super Chats, as usual, are also available. Marv says the award-winning inker is in the house. Hello, my friends. What's the good news? It's all good news. We'll be showing some good news today, Marv.
Oh, yeah.
Good news.
Genuine Comics says it's the Fantastic Four. That's only because Varian is playing the Invisible Girl today.
Because to keep him out of court.
Yeah, that's right. I can be Mr. Fantastic. Sure.
Wouldn't this be more like the A-Team?
Yeah.
You two will have to argue over who's the thing.
Yeah, I can do the thing.
Well, that's
I don't
easy.
mind
I have hair. He doesn't.
that. Yeah. I'm often orange,
Often orange.
often accused of being made of rock.
Hard as stone. Genuine Comics says, hello, RJ. From the desk of a small press publisher, Morning All.
Good morning.
Marv says, Mike, hey. Mike,
How's
hey.
it going, Marv?
Welcome, everybody,
Hope
to
you're having
another
a great
episode.
day.
Yep. It's a great day. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sunday Funnies. This is the 19th of September, 2021. So Marvy also says the files are at Mix'em. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah.
We got that.
So if
Did
you're
you get
wondering
that?
which files,
Did you get that
this
code?
one.
There we are. Blow that up here. Boom. Look at that. It's a sin killer.
Damn
In
right
hand.
it is.
Physical
In
copies.
hand. These
Look at that.
are the proof prints.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
man, they came out good. They
Very
are
pretty.
absolutely gorgeous.
Very pretty.
So I'm sorry that I'm on my phone, so you can't see the wide screen. But let me take you to the money shot.
You're as wide as it gets right now. There we are.
There we go. That's the
Cool.
money shot, all right.
Nice.
Marv, you did a wonderful job. I'm gonna order the copies for the European backers late after this show. So that's gonna be get some excitement going. And Marv, update your Indiegogo campaign.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
the
I
only
need
place you don't
I need
update.
to do that too. I got to send a PDF out. I do. I keep forgetting to do that. I need to make a things to do list. Come on in, everybody. We see you out there. Have a seat. Refreshments are in the back of the room. The wife bought donuts this morning, though they're the little small powdered ones. So,
Donuts.
Donuts.
I'm your host, Randy Zimmerman. I've been a long-time alternative and independent comics publisher, producer, distributor, creator, everything. Been in the business for a long time. Printed under the Arrow Comics, Weeby Comics, Massive Comics banners, Flint Comics for 10 years. Did my own little newspaper around locally. And now I'm part of the Indie Volt radio network, and I'm resurrecting Arrow Comics 4.0 once again to bring comics to the direct market. Very happy about that. Offered exclusively through Liberty Liberty Entertainment Distributors, ledg.us. Go over there and take a look. It's a growing distributor, getting bigger all the time. Isn't that right, Mr. Varian Grant?
Yeah, it's got work to do tomorrow. As a matter of fact, lots of work. Sorry, I'm tired. I've been was up last night. Randy was there giving out awards. Hello out there, I'm Varian Grant, the founder of IndieVolt Media LLC. I am a comic book illustrator, creator, publisher, distributor now. Yeah, lots of stuff. Happy to be here this Sunday.
Well, I told you if you couldn't get up that we'd get by somehow. So I threw out. Go ahead.
I'll mumble my way through it.
Yeah, like the rest of us. Yep. Yeah, and you were giving away quite a few awards last night.
Yeah. My desk is still a mess with envelopes and everything. It was a lot of fun.
Shiny little gold envelopes.
Yep. Shiny gold envelopes, so shiny. They're very shiny too. The sun hits them in the right angle.
And our guest this morning, Mr. Russ Leach, won a couple of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I'm trying to figure out a way to cheat them all. I mean, like one trophy, I'll just put both categories on it. No, I won't do that. Congratulations to the folks who won, double trophies. There was a lot of stuff competition. I think everybody who was nominated and everyone who was nominated will get something. They're not all out of we're sending out some coupons. We had so many sponsors. They were willing to send stuff in and whatnot. It was and more things had we actually had a physical show would have been
like we had planned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There were a lot more things that were going to be given out.
Russ, introduce yourself.
I am an award-winning artist from the UK. Thanks very much. Lovely. Thank you for everyone. To everyone on the panel that was bought and paid for. I'm a comic book artist from the UK. Did a few stints in a few mainstream places like Doctor Who, Cartoon Network, and some stuff for Marvel. I'm currently on some secret projects for some mainstream clients, which you'll find out about soon. Done some stuff for Doctor Who magazine just recently, but what's really prescient in my life at the moment is Only Death Can Save Us, which is my own creation, which I got awarded for last night. Thank you to the panel once again. Checks are in the post. And that, of course, will be also serialized via Arrow Comics, who I'm now in the stable of. So very pleased to be part of all that. And you can find out all about that stuff over at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or onlydeathcansavus.com. And the campaign for Only Death Can Save Us is going to start the graphic novel campaign for book 2 will be starting 1st of October. And if you want to sign up and you haven't already, it's over there on Indiegogo.
Sweet.
So that's me. That's me.
Yeah, and you won those awards despite me having to disqualify myself.
Well, there you go. Could you imagine how many awards I might have won if you'd been in the panel?
There you go. Perhaps even more if you'd have bribed me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Also joining us this morning is Mike Jimmy. Mike Jimmy, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I am Mike Jimmy of Fairies Mints. I'm the creator of Life and Cora, who I made this little friend for, which will be available real soon. And currently working on Life and Cora 5. I am the owner of Fairies and Ents, a small publishing company from the Netherlands. Lately, I've been working on fulfillment for the Sin Killer. So Marv, looking forward to getting the proper print run. And next week, we're going to launch our second series from a completely new creative team on Indiegogo. So look forward to the Radiant site.
Always growing. That's the idea.
Always growing.
Yep. Genuine Comics says, congrats, Russ. And Marv says he'll submit the Sin Killer next year.
Yeah. Good
No,
stuff.
no guarantees, Marv, but just remember we can be bribed. So
Not on his salary, you can't.
And hey, everybody, we're over on YouTube as well. If you're over there on YouTube, hit that like button. We are well past the 1,500 mark at this point, and we are monetized, which means that we can take super chats. And today, I want to talk about our favorites in the comic industry, our favorite artists, our favorite writers, our favorite comic strips. This is the Sunday Funnies, where we talk about the more fun and lighthearted side of comics and the more positive side. So let's talk about the stuff that we love. That's the idea here. Other programs, you can talk about the business, and this show has a tendency at times to have the conversation wander in all sorts of strange directions that you never know. But I'd like to keep it today to the stuff that you really, really care about on this in this wonderful industry of ours. So
We can do that.
let's talk about
Supposedly.
some great folks.
There you go. How's that?
There you are. That's a start. Look at that.
I
Hang
got
on.
this for myself the other
Show
day.
that again.
It's Jack Kirby Fantastic Four Artisan Edition. So it's not quite the size of. It's not quite the size of. It's not like the art editions, artist editions. It's just slightly smaller, but it's still like you get a good look at the artwork.
Now, is that IDW printing that with
Yeah.
Marvel's permission?
Yeah, that's IDW. Yeah,
Yeah, take a look at that.
absolutely beautiful stuff in there.
I had
Nice
no
big
idea that they did paperback versions of those books.
Neither did I till I went and found out on Amazon, and I bought one immediately. That was like
That is amazing.
$30.
Wow, that's well worth the cost.
Yeah.
What does that show the artwork for?
Oh God, I
Which
don't
number
exactly.
do you know?
This-
Or is it a grand collection of Kirby artwork from the Fantastic
it's
Four?
not all of it. I don't believe it's all of it.
Because I'm sure it's next to impossible to find an entire issue's worth of stuff
No, I don't think you get it
from
all in
any
one.
collector. Yeah.
71, Annual 6, Fantastic Four 82, 83, 84. So it's like a collection of just stuff that they consider to be beautiful. It's got some
Well, if it's shot
got some
from the
plans as well, like this where he put in the photocopy stuff.
yeah,
yeah,
look at that.
and you can
Well,
see where he put
Yep.
the stuff together.
If it's shot right from the original art, it's got to be whatever that they could find or get a hold
Exactly.
So,
It's whatever he could get hold of, whatever they could get hold of. I mean, look at this. You can see the white out as well there on here on the straps. There's like white out on there as well because it's slightly yellow everywhere else. But it's absolutely gorgeous book. There is another one coming for John Buscema, and that's £120. So
Well, that's probably the hardback version.
yeah, it's a big hardback. I don't think you're going to get that in softback, so I'll just have to push myself and get the hardback.
Yeah, like I said, I was surprised that they kicked those out in soft cover. I had no idea that they did that. That's awesome that they do, though.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic that they do that. So whenever I see a softback one, I will be going. I think there's a Walt Simonson one as well.
Oh, really?
And I've got a John Romita one on order.
Now we've got trouble.
And that's Thor. Or what?
Is it?
Simonson on Thor. Yeah, it's the run on Thor. So
I know they did an artisan hardcover of the Manhunter material
yeah.
that I would absolutely love to have and don't. But I might have to dig that up somewhere. Marv says, we hit you too, Russ, after Dave and Randy. Yeah. Dave, I was told there's somebody out there, Dave Houston, I guess, that shows off his collection that's got a rather extensive one.
Yeah, I don't have collections in that magnitude, but I tend to, I don't have like, I've got quite a few floppies, but not like boxes and boxes and boxes of them. I tended to pick up one shots and graphic novels. I'm trying to collect the essentials books, but it tends to be. I mean, I'm very specific because it's about the art.
Mhm.
Really, I do read some runs. But most of it is about the art and how it comes together on the page. So I've got like a Fantastic Four run of like 4 or 5 books of the essentials that runs from Kirby through Buscema into I think Romita did some. But all of it effectively is a run of Sin at Sinks, which is the most important thing.
Didn't they run from Buscema to who was that, Pollard? I think.
Yeah, might be. They had quite a few different artists at the end after the Buscema run, because you had the Kirby run, then the Buscema run, and then it started to mix it up a bit. But Sinnott made it all look beautiful. It was just fantastic.
Not the same. That's not the right word.
It was consistent.
The quality was very consistent.
I mean, the quality, but also kind of he'd got into a bit of a groove as to how he drew faces and all the rest of it, which were kind of sort of based on Buscema faces, really, from what I could tell. And then that whole thing was somewhere between Buscema and I've forgotten his name. Remitter. Sorry,
Remitter.
I had a bit of a lock there. Somewhere between Buscema and Remitter, and he just kept the whole thing looking beautiful right the way through the run. So,
Marv asked, "Do you have Burns FF4 when Galactus died in '82?"
No, but I may well go and buy that now.
A lot of that Byrne FF material is real solid, very enjoyable stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but Byrne is not. He's not on my list as far as artists is concerned. Sorry, he is a great artist, but it just his stuff isn't as influential to my work as the others were. So, but I still, obviously love what he's done, and I will be picking up. There's just so many other things in the in the list to buy. Now,
would you consider Byrne not being that much of an influence, the timing of Byrne, or just the artistic quality?
I think it's just the timing. Obviously, the artistic quality is there. It's great stuff. But I was reading those books, and I was reading a lot of reprints, which I didn't realize at the time when I was younger. I was reading a lot of reprints, and it was those styles that caught my eye.
So I was really blown away by Byrne when he first came on the scene. Even his old Charlton work, I thought was very impressive. Just like Aparo when he come on Phantom, just very unique, very individual look to his stuff. Always took to his stuff. And then when Byrne jumped over to the Champions, that I thought that was just amazing. So just very, very nice, very clean work. I used to have a page from one of the Champions books. I had to buy it when I saw it out. It was inked by Bob Layton, drawn by Byrne, and it had Ghost Rider, Hawkeye, and I believe it was Two Gun Kid on it. That and a great shot of Hawkeye right in the middle of it. It was up the chin, up the nostril, no shots, worm's eye view, upwards on.
But Bob Layton's good as well.
Oh yeah, Bob Layton was amazing. The thing with that piece though is I actually tracked Byrne down. And asked him at a Chicago con, asked him to sign it, and he turned his nose up at it and was like, "You like this? I'll sign it anyway. Here you go." And then I tracked Bob Layton down a year or so later and had him sign it, and he had this exact same reaction. So apparently the two of them were like oil and vinegar on that title, but it was just amazing art. Wow. I don't have the page anymore. Whenever I come up short on bills, I end up selling a bunch of original art, and I've had a lot of pieces come and go over the years. So I don't have a lot of original art left anymore, but I mean, from other people, I've got plenty of my stuff all over the place. But, I used to have the piece from Marvel Universe. That was the first piece that Frank Miller penciled and inked that was printed at Marvel.
Good Lord.
Of his own stuff.
Oh, wow.
That stance of Elektra standing there with her two sides in her hand, just an amazing piece. And I paid good money for it at an art auction. And Frank Miller was at a Chicago con one time, and I had him sign it. Wow. And the only way he would sign it is if he signed it to me. Huh. So I ended up having to sell. I was really tight on car insurance. This is a long time ago. Having to cover a bill, and I actually found a collector named Randy. I sold that piece, and he was really happy to have it too, and he paid a good amount for it. So I was really sad to see that piece go, because I knew what it was. But nowadays, holy crap, I could almost probably buy a used car with with what that piece is worth now.
Yeah, yeah,
I
we
miss
miss a
it.
lot now.
Miss it dearly. I do. So yeah, Genuine Comics says Burn is phenomenal. Yeah, just amazing stuff. Of course, nowadays, if you track Burn down online, he's doing some really incredible X-Men stuff.
Randy, you had asked me to mention what I had overheard. I was at a con this weekend. I stopped in just for a couple hours to see. Well, not even a couple hours. I stopped in for 30 minutes to see everyone. And there was a gentleman, older guy, probably in his mid 50s, and he was talking to the guy, and the conversation caught my ear because I'm standing there, listening to people. He says, I think Joe Kubert is seriously overrated. I don't understand how he's so remembered as an artist. And I'm like, what did he just say? And I'm like, but it's not my conversation.
Yeah.
So I can't go like, excuse me, you're wrong, but
hey buddy, you're talking out your ass.
Yeah. That's a fight start, right?
Yeah, and I said, how old was this guy? Was this a young kid or something who just didn't know any better? No, this guy was about 50. Oh, yeah. Great.
Ooh.
Well, we all have our favorites, and we all have the people that we don't like as well. But,
yeah, because he was like, if you ask anybody their top 5 artists, he says, Joe Kubert isn't in the conversation. I don't think that's true.
I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there that are enamored by his work. Absolutely, he would be in a lot of some people's top 5. Not everybody.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know if he would be in my top 5, but that's only because there's so many other people out there that I like better. It's not that he's not a great artist or he doesn't do phenomenal stuff. It's just that there are other. I'm blown away by simplicity, by conservatism of line. Your C.C. Becks, your Alex Toth, the Jack Cole, those geniuses there that are able to lay a line down and have it mean so much, or Aparo's inking or Alex Nino's inking and composition layout, that kind of thing. But Kubert is amazing as far as his composition and brushstrokes go. It's just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I got Kubert right there. Boom.
There he is.
There he is at his studio.
Mm-hmm.
And just take a look at that. That's an old style artist studio, folks. See all that equipment all around. That's not just a monitor and a computer with a stylus. You've got whiteout. You've got every form or brush possible to ink with. You've got right there in front is probably his jar of either water that he cleans the brushes out with or his collection of ink. Because back then you used to do like a witch's brew of different inks because one ink just didn't do the job, but Pelican and a Black Magic ink mixed together made it solid enough black for you to use. It literally a lot of these artists you can see here in the on the right side of it. There's a Rapidograph ink bottle there. There's a whiteout bottle. There's another box that has a Pelican ink bottle, I believe, in it. There's all sorts of inking tools there right in front, and all sorts of reference materials all around him. I'm sure you probably can't see his there. He's probably got file cabinets of reference work because this is long before the internet, long before Google. And
you can see he's got his light box up there too.
He does, and yeah, and it's bolted into his drawing table. So all he's got to do is stand up, turn the thing on, and stick it on there and run a quick light box.
Now I can't tell.
That's still something I got to do myself.
Sharpeners. Look at that drawing board, though. Just amazing.
Oh,
I
man.
can't tell. But under that light board, under the light box, is that a TV remote he has holster, or is that something else? I can't tell.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It
Probably
does.
where he watches videos and stuff and sees
It might be the
reference.
remote to change the angle of the drawing board.
You know what it probably is? In all honesty, that's probably his remote for his sound system that he's got behind him. Up there. Because if I was an artist, that would be where I would put that, where you'd always know where that remote was, because you've got a form of sustained chaos running all around you with all your materials and stuff. You have to have a place where you always have to be listening to something. You can just grab that remote and turn it and then reholster it. That's pretty ingenious.
I would respectfully suggest that not only does that not have any kind of electrical or pneumatic system to change the angle of that board, but that he never changes the angle of the board either.
No,
it probably stays like that
point.
permanently, because that's the way you work. My board used to stay like that permanently. I miss my old board.
You can see there's more than one remote there too. There's a remote underneath the gray remote. There's a white remote underneath. If that's not a phone.
Yeah, I thought it was a phone. Yeah, I thought it was a old. That's like a cordless phone.
And those are pieces of cardboard. It looks like folded up to be like holsters for the different material there. He's got a couple of shelving units just bolted right to the board. And what looks like a originals box next to the light table. Mm-hmm. When he's done with a piece, he just puts it up there on the pile and starts the next one.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's that's efficiency. This is somebody that's been working for decades.
This is uber pro.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I used to joke with a friend of mine, but he told me it worked. He wanted to be an inker, and he had a reptile heating lamp above, like, on his table, and when he wanted a piece to dry, he would turn that on.
Fair. That's a good one.
I thought it was
on top of my head.
Say it again, Randy. You were breaking up. I'm sorry.
I said, for me, that would just sunburn the top of my head.
Well, no, it was when he was done. When he was done with it. Yeah. It was only when he was done with it when he turned it on. But I used to think he would like cook the paper, but he never could. So.
Ink dries quite quick now.
Yeah, it does.
The olden days, a whole there of Zipatone and all sorts of multiple, probably got quite a few water bottles in that pile. Fascinates me to see these
Hey, Randy, are you coming across? Broke up to anybody else, or is he?
No, he's roboting really hard.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't understand what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, Randy, you are breaking up. I just want to make sure it wasn't just me, because sometimes it is. You may have to sign
it's not
back.
just you.
Yeah, you might have to sign in and sign back, sign out and sign back in.
Oh dear.
Yeah, he's really distorted.
Yeah.
You might have to turn the system. Might have to reset the system. I can take over as God intended. Now then.
Oh dear. Here went the panel.
Yeah, no, but I do believe that like, I love looking into pictures like this. In fact, there was a book a couple of years ago I seen. It was a look inside of each comic book artist's studio. And I thought, I gotta have this book. I gotta have it. At the time, I didn't have enough money to get it, and so I didn't. I went back looking for it, could not find it. Found it a couple years later, secondhand. It had actually increased in price, and I was really complaining. And just last week, my wife walks up to me in the used bookstore and says, "Hey, do you want this? It's over in the clearance pile, $5."
Nice.
$5. I'm like,
hoorah!
Yeah, yes, I want it. So I finally own this book, and I'm gonna, it's just amazing looking through the studio setup and seeing how other artists have their setups. It's almost like finding out that maybe I'm not crazy. It's not just me.
Well, if you want to see my chaos, you just got to remove the picture, and I'll show you.
Let me see. Oh, I can't because this is. Well, yes, maybe I can. Does he have this out?
Yeah, you should be. I mean, if you're.
He must have this in the brand. What am I thinking?
Yeah, it should be in branding.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, so. Oop, let me turn off. Oh, no, don't press that button, Mike, or you're gonna. Okay. Welcome to my flamingo.
Oh, and we lost him too.
Well, welcome to my
I'm not sure.
And then there was two.
Yeah, I'm not sure my studio. Oh no, I see what happens now. You show a picture of a studio this morning, and everything goes haywire. There's my.
Yeah, getting a phone off of an arm. So welcome to my flamingo blanket that I use as a the sun blocker. But so here's my pile of stuff I need on hand, packages that got returned because the United States Postal Service sucks. Stuff and my printer, of course, because that is the thing that's most used. Extra printing paper, originals, books that I still have to shelf, extra art supplies, my glorious rack. People love my rack. Then we got my bookshelf with comics that I still have to expand and actually, completely fill up. So I got to buy more indie comics. And then there's stock, and there is a lot of stock. There's like shipping equipment, there's tape, there's books that I've published, and that shelf is just going to get worse, and my sewing machine because I have too many hobbies. And of course, my art desk and my drawing tablet together with, second screen and everything, which isn't currently put up. But yeah, welcome to my studio. This is where things go to shit.
I had to jump all the way out and reboot. For some reason, the internet wasn't working at all.
Yeah, we figured.
Yeah, that's around the whole lot really bad. So,
am I coming through good now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you sound good. Something like that.
Yeah, Marv says Kubert was one of my favorite, or one of my superheroes. He pressed the button.
He did press the button. That was my dear. I don't have to press that button, and he pressed it and jettisoned himself.
And then I got thrown out.
Yeah,
had to. I wasn't getting anywhere. So,
yeah. Mike was showing us his office, and
cool.
It's funny. It gets messy, but I know where everything is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
A controlled form of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember when I was younger. My mother would go into my bedroom, and she would clean up, and it was always my art area.
God damn it!
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was like, come on, like, why? I took all those papers and all those drawings you had finished. Like, they weren't finished, but okay. And I put them over there, and I didn't. Like, why?
Last week, the drawing, my drawing table, like the pen display desk, it was clean because my old roomie that used to rent this room, he babysat the cat and the rats, and he had a friend over who gets very upset when things are messy. And he knows my golden rule: do not move things in my office. And he did. So I got home and I told him to put everything back the way he found it. It took an hour, but he fixed it. Now everything is back in order.
Yeah, everything has its place. Even
It has its place, yeah.
Even if it looks like it shouldn't be there.
Yep.
Yeah. That's something I'm gonna need next week. Don't mess with my office.
Like, do you see that piece of gum on the wall there? Yeah, don't touch it. All right, it's holding that whole wall up.
Yeah.
I got a special frame that's being ordered right now to get on that piece of gum.
Yeah.
And then Russ has his monkey.
Ooh.
So, Russ, with your setup there, it looks like
Yes.
now. Are you in the? Because there's a family room behind. I see a TV. Is that your TV for
No,
watching
it's
movies?
yeah. It's just it's I'll take the camera off the mount. So this is
look
my
at that.
desk.
Yeah.
There's my desk. There's us, and there's my drawing board. That's the I do traditional inks on and what have you. And I bring that forward. I've got a lock, so I put the screen back, and I bring the drawing board forward, and so I ink there, and then part of my collection is up in these bookcases, which I built myself.
Yeah.
And that's the rest of the room. There's my wife outside doing something in the garden, and a cat, and there's like I've got like the TV up there and what have you, and that sofa's covered because I've got some new cats, but I've got myself a nice leather sofa for thinking time. There you go.
Do you ever find it hard? Like, because I remember my wife was like, you don't need a TV in your office, and I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. Although I have to say,
Yeah,
I
you
very
do.
rarely watch it.
Yeah.
I tend to I tend to watch it with other people, so the kids will come in and watch something in here, or at the end of the day, I don't. It's not there for me to watch while I work. I can't do that anymore. I used to be able to do that, but I focus so much on what I'm doing now that I just can't do it. I just have to have music playing in the background and occasionally listen to science documentaries and crazy stuff on YouTube.
Same.
Basically,
That's-
it's an absolute gold mine of ridiculous stuff to stick into your imagination on YouTube. So.
Yeah, it's usually all I do when I'm working is listen to YouTube. Usually, because especially with podcasts, you can turn up to 1.5 times the speed.
Yeah,
so you can get through them in a hurry, so you don't have all these long lulls and pregnant pauses.
That's right. So you can
mostly
just
real
listen
fast.
to people chat, or you can listen to news, or you can listen to crap, or
They
you
all-
can listen to music.
And they all sound like
Oh, yeah.
chipmunks. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
you go
funny.
2
It makes
times
it even
speed,
more funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I can't.
Whenever
I used to
think about
use.
laughing for physics.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Whenever I need to think about love and Cora physics, I'll put up conspiracy theorists on YouTube, and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it brings me right back into actual physics and everything. Going, that doesn't make sense.
No, but it doesn't matter.
They don't have nearly
No.
as many good ones up there as they used to, though.
No, a lot of the stuff has been
Now-
taken down, isn't it? You have to go and find other places like I don't know, BitChute and Odyssey.
Yeah.
Is it? I all my videos get backed up onto Odyssey, so you can go there as well, and you do find a bit more, more crazy stuff there. So
Used to find a lot of that stuff on YouTube. They went through and cleansed it.
yeah,
It's terrible.
which is dull.
Still get some good odd archaeological stuff every once in a while. Or ran across a great video yesterday, I think it was, where they found a piece of bone in Siberia that's actually a mixture of 2 different Homo sapien species they didn't think would mate.
All right, cool.
That was
I like
kinda-
stuff like that.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
fascinating to listen to.
They'd like talk about found out about the Denisovians.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, it was
Oh, right.
Denisovian,
Okay, yeah.
Denisovian and Nathandrel.
By all accounts, like the Denisovians were these human a version of humans that predated Neanderthals. Were nothing to do with Neanderthals, but were big. These people were big people, and they'd like ride around on horses and have culture and stuff. But there's very, very little known about them. If anybody knows anything about Graham Hancock, he wrote Fingerprints of the Gods, and there's a follow-up to it because he talks about tectonic plate movement in the first one, but they've actually found out that there was a comet strike around the end of the last ice age. There were 2 strikes 1,000 years apart, and the premise is that we have we're a species with amnesia, and there was an ancient civilization that was ocean bearing. So we're not talking about it being the same technology as us, but they were, probably similar to like 17 or 1800s as far, but without the Industrial Revolution. And they were worldwide, they were global, and the asteroid or the comet strikes took them out, and they seeded things like the ancient Egyptians or Sumeria or the Mayans or that kind of stuff, and excellent inquiry into an alternative view of archaeology. Really, really good stuff. And of course, the more and more information that comes out, the more and more things that are discovered, the more it kind of points toward that being possibly the case, especially with the Denisovians. There's all these megaliths around the world, massive stones that we find difficult to pick up now with our machinery. And you've got to think, how are they put in place? Well, if the dating's incorrect and the Denisovians are these effectively, 1.5 times the size of humans, they would have an easier time picking these things up than we would. So maybe they were building it just a lot longer ago than we're suggesting. And maybe the human race has got a much richer past than we're suggesting it has. And I absolutely love stuff like that, because the one thing it does do is make you think. It widens your horizons. It makes you think about things rather than just accepting what you've been spoon-fed. And unfortunately, a lot of that stuff gets pulled off the mainstream now.
It's amazing to know the things you don't know.
Yeah.
Because there's all sorts of theories like that out there. I'm really I've gone down the rabbit hole of climate science a couple times.
Right.
And there's a lot of scientists out there now that hold to the thought that every 6,000 and every 12,000 years the sun does a micronova, and there's a big natural disaster, and there's been extinction level events technically that we barely survive, or the species barely gets through by their ingenuity or by digging underground, and a lot of the technology in that previous period is lost and then has to go back and be rediscovered over and over again. And we are hitting really close to the end of a 12,000 cycle and the end of a 6,000 cycle. And so they're looking at the magnetic field and the ozone,
which is in flux.
Ozone layer, which is in hard flux. The poles are moving. They're afraid that the Earth's going to shift poles. And if they do, that explains everything about the ruins in Antarctica and all of the. There's a guy, and he's on YouTube, but he gets pulled off like 2 or 3 times a year, who goes out into the southwestern United States to the old hieroglyphics and the old glyph places, and they look at the pictures that were drawn and they go, what if this isn't out of somebody's imagination? What if this is actual what happened? And the person who was carving on the cave wall is, and here we're jumping down a rabbit hole. I wanted to talk about the best or your favorite comics. Now we're talking about hieroglyphics, and it's my fault. But that some of these glyphs that they're looking at, that they had dismissed earlier as being just some guy's imagination, might actually be a sign of them trying to tell something or say something that actually happened.
A lot of it seems to be, messages embedded in architecture and in art and in culture that kind of, certainly the only things that last, that get over those kind of extinction events are stone and architecture. The other stuff doesn't get through it. So there's, there's so many suggestions. I mean, for instance, the weathering on the Sphinx suggests that it could be anywhere up to 30,000 years older than they think it is. Where did the structures underneath the Sphinx come from? Where did the structures come from? There's a Roman city where they talk about these megaliths on top of the Romans. They say, the Romans did that, but then it's got the underpinning.
And how many cycles has the Sphinx and pyramid actually survived, because they are those sturdy type of structures?
Exactly. How many cycles have they actually survived? And the trouble is it's so easy for the mainstream to just go, no, don't listen to that. These people are all kooky, and you could miss something. That's Graham Hancock's argument. Is like, if we're in the stream of this comet meteor shower that we apparently go through once a year, and there's a big bit still there. Surely we should be looking for it. And if we're taking these things seriously and actually looking at alternative histories and alternatives to the mainstream teachings, we can maybe see things coming. But if we haven't got our eyes open,
Right.
then we can't see these things coming, and then you're just doomed to repeat the same problems. So, but yeah, let's talk comics.
I actually wanted to highlight something that is, I think, in American stores as well, but it's by a friend of mine, Ovbekt, by Irene Berbey. And I actually bought these yesterday.
Blow that up here. There we go.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
I bought these.
I think Daphne has shown that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's actually a really good friend of mine. We talk quite a lot, and yeah, she just does a phenomenal job. I finally picked these up because I wanted to get them in real life. Because I want those sketches.
If that's not something Daphne has shown before, it's really, really close. So yeah, it's got a very animated look to it. It's beautiful, beautiful work.
This is one. These are from number one is from 2018, and number two is from 2019. So number three should be coming soon.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's just phenomenal stuff. And so the funny thing that if you have her on Facebook, is that she will make 3D figures of the characters that she works with in order to get a reference. So she actually makes them out of clay herself. It's really fun to see her work on that.
I bet. But
honestly,
that's like a true animator's trick too, or a animator's tool, I should say, to have that 3D model. I just saw a picture of Alex Toth not too long ago, and he had an animator's model like that, where they can take and you can look at it from different angles.
Yeah,
just beautiful stuff. Yeah, and the Sovians is what Facebook is putting in the subtitles. Oh, Dennis Vivians. There we are. Yes, Dennis Vivians. Dennis Sovians. And sorry to jump back to that rabbit hole, but the piece of bone that they found, that they did a DNA sample on, that they found was a cross reference between them and Neanderthals. Now they're wondering if that happened a lot, or if it was just a chance DNA sampling that they did. So it's an interesting thought, and interesting question. Critical Blast says 6,000 years is interesting, as that aligns with the biblical account of the timeline back to Adam. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if Shafani makes DNA, who did what? I need to know the mother and father. Because see, here's the thing. I could see a man saying, "Hey, that chick's tall. It's a tall drink of water. I'll take a sip." But I can't imagine a woman. I can't imagine a woman saying, "Look at that huge guy." Well, okay. I mean,
well,
now you can, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can.
Maybe.
Oh my.
Okay.
You never know.
Argument settled.
Yeah.
Plus, you get caught in a freak storm. You think you're going to be there for a while. Never know. It's something to pass the time. Just look at all the babies that happened after the bug. Yep.
Oh.
I got a granddaughter that way. So a bug baby. Anyway. Not a real bug. Come on.
Yeah, that's what the generation's gonna be. That generation's gonna be known as
Says, wasn't Yellowstone also late? Could have blown already. No. They theorize that's not going to happen for tens of thousands of years. And the reason why is because it's constantly letting off steam now. They said all of that, because every year you see the videos, there's earthquakes going on in Yellowstone, it's going to blow. And then they go, no, it's when the earthquakes stop that you want to start worrying, because then it's building pressure down below. Then it might actually blow. But as long as it's letting loose pressure at a specific time, you might have other geysers go off, or geysers go off larger than other places than they they've done in the past, but that's because they're letting loose that pressure. So as long as that pressure is getting out, there's little chance of it all blowing up at once. And they theorize that might not even ever happen because it has done and blown so many times that it's figured out how to let that pressure out without having the one big explosion. So thanks for that rabbit hole, folks. Don't forget the aliens. Absolutely. It's always aliens.
Always aliens.
It's always aliens.
It's always the aliens.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
There was that cycle of thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 6 and 12 is what they figure. There's a galactic current sheet, like a big wave going through that the sun lets off, and the sun goes in cycles. Everything runs in cycles. So, hail everyone! Hail Sugar! Sugar's
Hail
here.
Sugar.
Hail Sugar.
Sugar's in the house. Hail, hail!
Put some sugar on me.
Yeah. You know, never mind. I'm going to keep my mouth.
What? What?
I was going to say that if that used to be the number one song at this particular bar I used to go to, if there was a young lady,
My, what rabbit holes we're running down this morning.
If there was a girl on stage singing that song after 11 o'clock on karaoke, there was a very good chance that yeah, it was.
Sugar, if you want to join in, I'll send you a link, buddy. Just send me a PM over on Facebook if you want.
Facebook or the Twitter. Well, no, he's not on Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter that much. I need to post that over there because I ended up on their show one time because I popped over to Twitter one time and saw a link and decided to click on it. So. Let me jump over there now. Mike's messaged me.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. He was like, "Oh, that girl singing, put some sugar on me." Yeah, she's the one for the night. And it's like, are you actually going to pick up a sugar? But he told me if that was the chick you would with in the bar, whatever girl was singing that, she's going to be a good time. Mm-hmm. It's like a mating call, I guess.
Yeah, it's.
I have decided after looking at several old books that the one thing is those guys worked really hard because I'm looking at backgrounds and trash cans and old art, on city streets. Mm-hmm. The buildings have character, and now you got artists who leave whole pages blank. You guys are two figures here. I'll get rid of the entire background. I know everyone that is.
Well, don't pull up that X-Men page.
I'm not putting that up. I'm not putting that
up.
No,
we're here to talk positively about comics and not about
the way that the older guys drew so much detail in.
Oh yeah,
it almost feels like they got cheated. Like
they didn't draw loads of detail without reason.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I have a page here. From the master, John Buscema. Okay. You look at this page here. This is about the right size. Okay. And you instantly look at it and go, wow, that's full. And it's like, no, it's not full.
It's not.
But look at the strike lines here. Look at the generation of power there and the generation of power in here. There's no background there. They're just strike lines. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's no background here. It's just a floor. Yeah. Over here, where she's running, all he needed to do was put the brick wall in.
Yeah.
There's no background up here. Mm. Okay. And then in this one here, it's just the two either sides of the alley. There's nothing back there. So it's only these two that actually have fully realized backgrounds in them. And even then, they're not mega detailed. They're flicked in, really. So I think what it was, I do agree with you. There was a lot more work going on, a lot more quality of work going on. But I think you'll find it comes down to quality rather than quantity.
Yeah.
They just knew how to create the environment and knew how to run a story. And that's what I desperately try to do in my books is you don't have to put a background in. What you need to do is you need to set the scene and convince the reader that that's where you are.
Right.
And then if you move in close, or you have certain, so you can put pop outs in, so you can put people with absolutely no background whatsoever, but the reader's still there in the scene,
Yeah, and
even though they see no background.
if you
But
go
it's
back
how
to
you
that,
do it.
if you go back to that page, it's a phenomenal progression that you can see. These old guys, you can't dismiss people that have been doing this for decades, as just sliding it off. If you look at that page, you've got that great establishing shot that has all of that detail in it, but at the same time, you've got the start of the action with the cars zooming around the corner. How often do you see that in comics anymore?
No,
Then the
don't.
next panel, you've got a closer up shot of the action going on. But look at the composition there of the guy tilted over to one side, shooting the gun off to our left, but also the hand that's reaching down there, that's grabbing that the seat is a natural pointer down in a Z pattern down to the lower left, our left, where you see the girl leaning up against the brick wall with the dog who's barking to the right. That pushes your eye constantly over to the next panel, over to the next panel, over to the next panel. And then you get to the Donald Blake walking down the alley. One whole corner there, the corner that's closest to us, is all in silhouette. So really all it is a group of black, a collection of black spots with white lines on it, with that drain pipe going down the side. Just beautiful, suggestive simplicity. It's suggested detail with great simplicity on that. And then again, like you said, with the action lines there, drawing your attention right to the focus, right to the action, and then boom, the superhero at the bottom of that page. That's
you get the payoff at the end.
That's the dynamics. Yeah. Just phenomenal.
And that's I see that as my template.
Mm-hmm.
I love a lot of I know there's a love-hate thing with a lot of people with 90s comic book art, and I love a lot of it simply because I think it's very dynamic. I think it's really interesting and bombastic, but they don't, because it focuses so much on the art, it tends to ignore the storytelling aspects in some ways. And so I see my templates as the guys from the 60s and 70s. Yeah, that they were telling stories, and they were telling them at incredible rates, that they were like knocking out pages at amazing speeds. And that's because they were about telling stories. They weren't about getting the best piece of art on the page.
And everybody working back there, especially for Marvel, had that sense of dynamics. That's what superheroes were all about, was that dynamic payoff and that energy. Gene Colan is another just prime example of that he can do the stalest and the most boring conversations or positions or whatever, and he'll do an angle and change the look of the composition of the panel and have it be the most interesting piece on the page. It's just phenomenal. Stan Lee mentioned in an interview one time that he had a conversation between two characters that he gave to Gene, and it turned out to be probably the most dramatic 2 pages in the book, because Gene had taken it, and here's a close-up of a hand. Here's a hand grabbing a doorknob. Here's a guy yelling at another guy at such an angle to suggest hard tension. That kind of stuff is just lost anymore. You don't see hardly anybody out there practicing that kind of dynamics.
I'll be right back. Windows is requesting I do a reboot right now.
Oh yeah, everybody must be having that happen.
I'll be right back.
We were when Varian and I were on our last trip. We were listening to a book on tape, and I just forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, the whole era of Marvel during the 60s and 70s were all about dynamics. You can go and you look at the early Kirby work. I mean, real early Fantastic Four the early Fantastic Fours, and you'll see he's figuring out all of those dynamics that by issue 50, issue 60, he's just blowing off the page, just phenomenally. And all of that's a learned experience. Kirby's work on a romance book's completely different from his work on the later Fantastic Four books. It's a whole different. The art style might be kind of the same, but the dynamics and the composition is completely different. It's just fascinating to sit there and look at, especially if you're drawing in this industry. And nowadays, everything is, to me, everything as far as the mainstream so-called superhero books are bland. They're stale. They're flat. There's very little dynamics left to it. Very little thought to composition. And I'm not sure if that doesn't wash out through the Image era, where everybody was working on a pinup and then trying to tell a story on the side. You know,
Definitely some of that. Definitely some of that.
And the stupid decompressed storytelling, which to me, decompressed is just another word for lazy, where you can take and tell a single issue story over 6 issues. I think is an embarrassment anymore, but or was an embarrassment ever since they started it. But they should never have gotten to that point.
It's a page of pencils there.
Would like to show off a page that just blew me away, and I mean this is the Son of Asterix from 1983. This is a first print, and I'm super happy I found it at a thrift shop, because you find them a lot. But just you get the first panel, which is the build-up, and they're all the same layout. And you get the second panel where, they're building up even more, they're drinking the magic potion. And in the third one, just the energy of them, rushing in black and white, and so little color being used. Like, every single character right from their silhouettes. And they just made everything else pink. And this just blew me away on the inking. This is, the stuff that I'm trying to achieve. So, like, there is so much going on. It's such a small panel. And every character has energy. It's incredible.
We start talking about inking and shadows. Nobody matches Alex Toth, in my mind. Somebody who could just take just immense detail, like what we were talking, or I was saying earlier about Buscema's wall there. And the picture that Russ has is just black with some white lines, some white dots. And Alex had everything stripped down to, it's amazing how his mind worked as far as composition and negative space goes, with the use of stark whites and blacks. If you've never seen his Zorro work, definitely dig that up, because it's amazing. His Bravo for Adventure is another example, because you could just, it was a property that he loved doing, and he poured all of literally his heart and soul. Everything that he knew about sequential art up to that point, which was a lot, he poured into those books. Just amazing stuff. You see some of the artists, when they first get into the business, start like that, where they're thinking about composition, and they're thinking about, because it's not subconscious to them yet. The early Simonson, early Howard Chaykin's like that. Howard Chaykin's early style is just amazing to me, because it's bare shapes. And a lot of times you sit back and you look at it. When I was a kid, it was garish, and the New Hope, Star Wars New Hope adaptation to me was horrible. He did back when I was a kid. Nowadays you look at it and marvel at it, because he's sitting there and you could tell he's thinking about everything while he's doing that page. He probably put more labor into that than he did anything else in his career, because it was his first real recognized effort, where he was away from just being an assistant or being a crusty bunker and sitting in continuity studios or wherever he was getting his apprenticeship from, and going off and doing stuff on his own. Same thing with Simonson and his Manhunter work. Just phenomenal work like that. Love looking at that. Never get tired of looking at it. John Celestri says the great's new. It's creating an impression of believability, but not being literal. So true. So very true.
If you can imply anything on the panel, and you as a reader can instantly recognize what it is, you're done as an artist. Like that is what you want to reach.
Also, another favorite is Russ Manning to me. Just amazing work, especially his Tarzan and his Magnus work.
Oh, yeah.
Just never get tired of sitting there and looking at that. And also somebody who knew shadow and how shadow can make form and shape. Just amazing stuff. Anybody else out there who in the chat? What do you like? What's going on?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
So, talk about comics now before we go down another rabbit hole.
You've been warned.
And exactly opposite of that's George Perez, who could sit there. And again, a lot of his stuff, when you get close up on it, can be very simplistic, but so crowded. I mean, here's a guy who just loves drawing entire crowds of people and does it incredibly well.
Yeah, I think he had more of an effect on me than I realized. I don't pick him out in my lists, but I did look at a lot of his work, and me, I like a crowd scene as well.
Yeah. And nothing matches that
keep
Crisis.
them away from me. I hate them.
The Crisis material he did, and then after that, he did a history of the DC universe where he got to draw everybody.
Yeah,
and that was just amazing. Yeah,
I'd love to have done that.
Well, the book was real pretty, but what they were doing with it was a mess. So it's just why? Well, they shot a good. They took all of their multiverse and narrowed it down to one universe because they thought people weren't able to understand it or weren't following it correctly. That was the biggest mistake they could have ever done. All they needed to do was put up some sort of a logo or separation. This is on Earth 2. This is on Earth 1. This is on Earth X. This is on Earth S. And should have just kept going because one of my favorites back during that period was the All-Star comics that took place on Earth 2. Where Superman was the old Superman with the gray hair, and he was married to Lois, and Bruce Wayne was married to Selena Kyle, and they had Helena, who turned into the Huntress, and Robin was a mess because he had a costume that was just gaudy, and every time anybody drew it, it was just horrible. But he should have become Nightwing over on Earth too. But there's all sorts of great, Power Girl, and all of that material was a lot of fun to read back then. And it was easy for me to keep the world separate. I don't understand what everybody else's problem was with it. And then Crisis comes along, and then they have all these continuity problems that they have to make up for. Oh, where's Wonder Woman fit into all of this? Well,
should have thought about that.
They never did. Even after they did the history of DC Universe, they had so many holes in their continuity that they couldn't fix it. It's terrible.
But I know continuity. I'm not that much. It's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes you just want to enjoy a story, and continuity doesn't necessarily. It shouldn't stop a good story, but at the same time, your writers should be good enough, that they can take those aspects into account and do one of two things: either include it or make you not care.
Well, the thing was every time they changed writers, all of the rules changed. I was a big fan of Justice League back when they had their annual crossover events. Used to love to read that, but every time somebody come on, they would change the rules. Here's Earth 2, but Earth 2 is the time on Earth 2 is slower than the time on Earth 1. So all of these guys in World War II haven't quite died out yet, and they're still vital and still kind of young. And then the next time you read it, everybody's old and retired, and there's another group of younger heroes or whatever. Nobody could make up the same. It could stick to the same rules.
Yeah. Well, the trouble is writers want to put their own mark on things, don't they?
But they were still a lot of fun to read, though.
Yeah. And inevitably, that's the problem you have with a project that is somebody else's IP.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's not yours, so how do you make it yours?
Yeah.
My personal opinion is, anybody who's writing somebody else's IP should respect it, bear that in mind, and not change it radically into what they want it to be. They should write it for the IP. That's just my opinion.
That doesn't hold.
No, but the problem is that because independent comics weren't given the mainstream took everything, so it's difficult to kind of get yourself seen as a get your IP out there, get other people to trust your brand. So the only way to do it is to go into a mainstream IP and do your thing with it, and maybe make a name for yourself. And that doesn't always work.
Not only
Not
that,
for
it
the
doesn't,
IP anyway.
it doesn't hold true anymore because the
No,
mainstream's
no.
not really mainstream.
No,
You know,
I mean that's the
yeah.
way it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way it used to be is you used to have to fight in order to get into the companies, and you got in there on merit because you were out here working or doing fanzine work, or somebody notices you, you know, after years of working in the what we would consider to be like the minor leagues, or what were considered back then as the minor leagues. But now it's comics are such an art, and thanks to crowdfunding and accessibility, web, digital comics, and that it's opened it up wide. And then the mainstream now is almost the minor league, where somebody breaks into the mainstream, and you have to. The only way you're in there now is a specific invitation or nepotism from somebody, and you don't even have to be talented to be in there and screwing up with these characters. And then they, like with Image right now, has become a major factory of people that have worked in that mainstream system and have gone off and tried to create their own IP off to the side in the hopes of getting a Netflix deal or whatever. So, and in that way, they've completely robbed everything of all of the old dynamics, like what we were talking about, or the very idea of a superhero character has become so decompressed, or not decompressed, but deconstructed and just obliterated with way too much reality for anybody's worth. Give me a genius like Jack Cole to come in and do a superhero again like Plastic Man, please. Or CC Beck, who came in off of advertising and realized, hey, comics are mostly large blocks of big color, so we're going to strip all of this muscle tone off of Captain Marvel, and there's going to be one incredibly loud block of red, one loud block of yellow right there. Dig that, kids. Boom. Just give me that time again, because those guys were incredible. Or even somebody with the imagination of Jack Kirby. Where is that anymore? Everybody's tried to redo New Gods and Mr. Miracle, and they just stumble over themselves and fall embarrassingly short of the imagination level that used to be there.
Yeah, make your own. I mean, I'm nowhere near.
Make your own.
I'm nowhere near Kirby level. Kirby was a bona fide genius, but the fact is you make it happen for yourself. I made Only Death Can Save Us because I like that kind of stuff, because I wanted something that was not what was in the mainstream. That's in no way to diss any of the mainstream characters. I love lots of mainstream characters, but I wanted something similar to what I enjoyed when I was a kid, so I went and made my own. It's as simple as that.
The sad thing with that is they're still there. The IPs are still there. They can still be made viable. It's just that the large corporations right now look at printing, look at physical publishing of comics so lowly, because it doesn't make sense in their mind. They just don't make enough money for them to pay attention to. So they let the idiots run the asylum pretty much. And
I think the one place
you get nothing but crap.
Yeah, I think the one place they've got a shot for me to keep some of it is in kids. Is in all, if they go back to the all ages, if they go back to the kids stuff without talking down to them, then it can work. It can work.
And Marvel just retracted their contract with IDW for the Marvel Action Heroes.
Oh, that's a pity.
And DC doesn't want to do that. They're too busy doing All-Star Superman or having Supergirl meet a zit problem in her bathroom, more than actually go out there and do old style superhero role model dynamic stuff.
I think there's stuff out there. I just don't think. I think what has happened, which I don't personally like divvying up kids stuff. Mm-hmm. I think you should write to all ages. That's my personal opinion.
Yes.
But the fact is that stuff does happen now through one reason or another, through the modern world, through marketing and what have you. So I think the kids stuff and potentially the young adult stuff could actually be the way they see themselves, reforming themselves and coming through and bringing some of that old stuff back.
And the young adult stuff is just solid trash.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it is, you know, a young adult across the board by everybody is questionable, to be honest. I mean, some of the things they put in there. But you know, I think it's all in flux at the moment. I think that's what's going on. And with with the news this week that the Batman family over on Webtoons did so well, it was actually beating the printed comic. It kind of points to where they're going to take some of this stuff.
I didn't see that.
They've taken a Batman. It's called the Wayne family or Batman family or something.
I knew they were going to do Batman properties over on Webtoons. I didn't see where it had,
they've gone to Webtoons and they had 500,000 subscribers or something. So that's obviously way more.
Cool.
Mind you have to take that in context. There's like 72 million people or something on Webtoons. Just because you know what it's like on YouTube, just because you hit the subscribe button doesn't mean you necessarily consume the content,
right?
But still, it was a huge number. So that there is a way to get through, but the problem is I just think that, and I've said this before, I think that the mainstream comics, as in the stuff that I used to buy 20 years ago, okay, the floppies, all right. The problem is that, and we've talked about this with the writers, is that they're trying to create too much realism, and they're also trying to create too many genres in one genre. So the reason that manga works is because you can go and buy a golf comic, you can go and buy a cooking comic, you can go and buy a slice of life comic, you can go and buy any kind of comic, okay? But if all you've got is superheroes, because there are no more romance titles in Marvel and DC or anything like that, like there used to be, or any other kind of, I've used romance as an example. If everything's nailed down into superheroes, and you're trying to do the golf comic and the slice of life comic and every other comic in via superheroes, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. It will not work. So what you've got to do is walk that back and make the golf comics. Be brave. But exactly as you're saying, the problem is large corporates don't see comics, the printed comic even, as being something that can make money. So we're kind of in a holding pattern as far as the industry is concerned at the moment. We need something to break. We need people to break out and do different things, and maybe even show the mainstream industry, look, you can still do this.
Yes.
Lean into it with us. Come back, please, because you've got fantastic IPs. Come back and do this with us. So I think there's opportunity. I'm trying to see the glass half full. I really am. I think there's possibilities that they can do all kinds of things. They just need to stop trying to do everything in one place.
Well, I don't think you're going to see that pop up in the mainstream anytime soon, because quite frankly, they just don't care.
The
big corporations are out there. They whatever you got to do, you go do, and then we'll pluck whatever we like off of what you do, and it's mostly garbage. The last
I understand
5-10
years. I'm just trying to be positive, which is what it's all about. Positivity today, about positive.
Exactly.
About
Sorry.
So, yes. So I'm trying to be positive. But I think the way to do it is to show the way. And that's what independent comics are doing at the moment. They're showing the way. So
Sin Killer says Days of Future Past, my favorite. And again, just like DC and their multiple Earths, Marvel has taken their future timeline and messed it up repeatedly, stumbled over their own feet. They can't even agree on what Wolverine's origin is. So on X-Men, they're a major mess. Great comic, poop movie. Anyway.
Poop.
Poop movie. John Celestri, the 1940s, Simon and Kirby's work was my biggest early influence. All energy. Yeah. You go back and you look at those Boys Ranch books, just amazing. Was it Super? I want to say Super Patriot, but that's not what it was. Not Super American. Oh, I've got it. I've got the collection back on my bookshelves, but great stuff. Creators Outlet says hail. In fact, Creators Outlet is here. It's Will. How are you?
Hey, Will.
Hiya, Will.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Doing good.
Everything's going. Introduce yourself for our radio audience.
My name is Will. I do a show called Creators Outlet on YouTube, and it's also a podcast that you can download anywhere you download a podcast at. I interview independent creators 3 to 4 times a week. I do another show called OK Boomer because I'm old, and a friend of mine from Outright Geekery and myself go back and we look at books from the Gold and Silver and Bronze Age. Go through them and relive them again, or possibly for the first time, and enjoy ourselves doing that. And I do an art stream with the artist Sean Howe on Wednesday nights, and you can find all these on Creators Outlet on YouTube.
From the desk of a small press publisher, Joe says, or is it corporate figures not understanding that you can focus group a comic? They don't understand changes to character dynamics can drastically impact the overall title. It's a number of factors, Joe, but really it ties back down to they just don't care. They just the money that they generate off of comics right now is so small to them that they just let anybody run the show. Oh, just keep it above water or breaking even, and we'll be fine. You know, then you can catch all of the collections and stuff over at Ollie's. So that's what they do. Okay, Boomer, I'm one of them. Yeah, Apex Comics. Sin Killer says, I saw Doc Savage art yesterday from the 40s, and it blown my mind. Not sure which artwork you saw from the 40s, but there's a lot of great. There's a couple of different eras of Doc Savage artwork out there. You've got the pulp work where he's got long wavy hair, and you've got the paperback book collections where he's got the skull cap by the great. I want to say Eric, but it's Eric or Ed. I think Bama did those paintings on those covers. Just remarkable, incredible stuff. Then you've got the comics, which carry off usually the Bama image. There's some great Steranko covers off of that Marvel printed. A couple of great covers, or a couple of great comics that Marvel did, magazines that they did, that I think Doug Moench did the majority of the writing on, that were right back there to the old pulp flavor of Doc Savage, that were really good. But you don't see those pulp characters get a good treatment very often, and that was definitely part of it there. The DC Shadows, most of the early ones through the Robins were really good. They also printed the Avenger for a few issues. That's another pulp character, not the British Avengers, but the Avenger. Guy had a white chalky face that he could mold in order to disguise himself as anybody. So he could completely move his muscles around like clay on his face. It's an interesting concept. Varian's back in the house. Varian, how you doing?
Yeah. It was it updated and needed to be. Then it said, "Oh, the update's complete. Please restart." Are you serious? All right, Windows. All right,
yeah.
Microsoft.
They just grabbed it and decided to update you, huh?
It was time. Yeah.
It was time.
Yeah, they do that.
Like, you may have a schedule today. We don't. We're impacting your schedule.
Sen Keller says Loki is gay now. He's really non-binary. But he also says if they turn Galactus gay, it'll be a huge problem. Apex says yes, and they're turning DC's turning Superman gay. Just a different version of him.
Yeah, his son.
You gave the Eater of Worlds a whole different meaning right now, Marv. Just saying.
And I have to step out for a second.
Sure.
Do continue the conversation as it is. Try not to go down any rabbit holes.
I'll try. There's
Be right back.
Okay. I heard him talking about some of the old characters, and when I came in, and one of the things I was talking to my son about was that a lot of times movies would influence these creators. You know, you start thinking about the Sentinels. You say, well, were they doing their own version of Terminator? You know, robots hunting down these mutants. Same with the Brute and Aliens. You see, you know, the influence there. And it's now we don't really get that. I don't think we get that, that where they're like, oh, this is a good movie, let's totally rip it off.
Yeah.
We don't get that. I mean, maybe it's because some more of these studios are more litigious than they used to be. Hey, we know where you got that idea, we're suing. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Should we why aren't the X-Men driving cars like Fast and the Furious now? That seems to be making money. What's going on?
Because one of them can fly.
Because the Fast and the Furious is more of a superhero comic than most superhero comics are.
Mm-hmm. You got a good point there.
Just saying, it did quite well at the box office, didn't it? The last one, and from what I could tell, it was utterly bananas. And I love films like that. I've never been a Fast and Furious fan. I think I've seen half of one movie with The Rock in it simply because I like The Rock. But the last one, I mean, the trailer that I saw, it looked absolutely ridiculous. Looked exactly up my street.
That's what they're made to be now. Though.
Which is great fun, and that's what comics should be. Great fun, and unfortunately, some comics now aren't great fun. And I understand that it's exactly the same conversation we were having 10 minutes ago about manga doing so many different types of comics. Yes, everyone should have a comic. There should be a comic for every person. But if you try and put everything down one chute, you're going to end up alienating most of the people that read it. So widen your horizons, get those comics out to everybody. Certainly, I agree with you that there was a lot of interplay between comic creators and film creators in the 80s and the 90s, especially the 80s, I think. And so much of it inspired games as well. I know that Aliens inspired Halo. Inspired the Marines in Halo and stuff like that. So there's always been cross-pollination, and it's a great thing.
Aliens and Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
That was a big one. But a lot of folks didn't realize how good Starship Troopers was until they saw the movie.
Starship Troopers is an absolutely brilliant film and actually has probably more relevance today with the way that the political scene is than it had when it came out.
Yeah. RoboCop, same thing. I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, RoboCop is coming true.
It's a lot more than just a guy running around in a cyborg suit.
There's a lot of commentary in there, a lot of cultural commentary. Yeah,
I rewatched Soylent Green about a month or two back. It was on Turner Classic Movies. Amazing. Back when I first watched it, I thought it was the most boring, dull movie I'd ever seen in a long, especially science fiction movie. But you sit and you watch it now and you go, hey, all of this is relevant. Holy crap. Look at this.
The other thing is like 70s sci-fi movies were quite deep.
There was a whole string of them that were amazing right before Star Wars popped up. Logan's Run. Silent Running.
All of them, they were really deep. And actually, it's only by going back to them that you can truly appreciate them. Because after Star Wars... Post Star Wars, that was it, wasn't it? Nobody bothered watching those films again for 20 years.
Yeah, everything turned into space opera.
Yeah, but only Star Wars did it really well.
That's true. Badly done space opera. Yeah,
badly done space opera.
But you did have like ice pirates pop out of that, and Krull, and some of these other oddball. Yeah.
Again, like I say, I'm easily swayed. I like a crap movie.
But I have the guilty pleasures.
Was there ever a besides Aliens, which did they ever take a horror movie icon and try to push him in the comics that we can think of? Like, is there a Jason Voorhees ripoff?
Well, they did make comics of some of them, didn't they?
They did.
I think there was a Jason comic, and there was definitely I'm pretty sure there was a Nightmare on Elm Street comic.
Yes, there was. Same thing with Leatherface. It was a Leatherface comic that was out for a while.
I think I could be wrong, but I think Marvel had the rights to a Child's Play comic for a while, because I know I have a Child's Play.
They
comic.
might have, it's possible.
It had 3 stories in it. It was a
Chucky. Hellraiser was a big.
That's right.
Was a big franchise for Marvel for quite a while. That was a very interesting anthology series.
But back in the day, there were a lot of sort of horror comics.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not harping back to like EC and all that stuff. I mean, just, you know, 80s and 90s, there were quite a few horror comics around.
Yeah.
And they were solid. You know, there was a lot of solid stuff.
Well, the cool thing, you go back and you look, the horror was really raging in the 50s, but the real spark back then were those EC books that just sparked an entire horror run. And a lot of those kids back then who read those horror comics ended up becoming very big horror filmmakers.
Yeah.
You know, Stuart Gordon Lewis and Stephen King became a huge writer, and he would have never have gotten into horror that much if he hadn't been reading the EC comics late at night. And Gaines deciding, oh, you want to see horror? Well, I can show you. You know, you want to see gory horror? I can show you some gory horror. Here, look at this. Boom. And that entire era there, it's got a level of quality to it that's just unmatched. Gaines had a wonderful eye for finding distinctive, wonderful artists. That the entire EC era, and it went through even into Mad, when he went out and found the best humorists that he possibly could. Because there's no way you can mistake Dave Berg for Mort Drucker, for Don Martin, for Sergio Aragonis. All of these guys are individual cartoonists that had their own specialty that Gaines knew how to use. Just like with the EC line with Wood and Feldstein and Crandall and just name them. That Jack Kamen, Joe Orlando, just very distinctive and individual people that with their own individual looks. Just classic material. Russ Cockrum kicked out collections, hardbound collections of those in slipcases of the different titles. And I had to go out and track them all down. When I was a kid in high school, I hated, there were a couple of people there that were EC addicts and just everything that was EC they loved. And I was a big Marvel DC guy. But once I got to see them and read the artwork or read the stories, especially like Weird Science and Weird Science Fantasy, that kind of weird fantasy, those books just amazing, just blew my mind. Just I had to go out and collect all of those box sets, just phenomenal stuff. And again with Mad, if they were to sit down and do collections of Mad the same way, I'm sure they'd be, you know, if people were to go back and discover that run, it's just amazing. You know, you get the first, even the first 25, 30 years of Mad are just very, very distinctive and incredible stuff. Very top notch. Back in our chat, let's roll up here. I'm way behind again. I believe Jack Snyder could do a great adaptation of Days of Future Past. Hey, good morning, everyone. Well, we were talking about Fast and Furious earlier. They're talking now about doing a Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park crossover.
Really?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sharknado makes sense.
Yeah, fantastic. I would watch that. I'd buy
That sounds
for $1.
that sounds more like a Tycho race set from the 70s.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
Last I know, they were seriously talking about it.
That'd be fantastic.
Wow.
I'd watch it.
There's this
Yes.
video of this is parody video of this guy. It says it's like 2045, and his son gets in the car, and his son is like super excited. He's like, "Dad, Fast and the Furious 27 was great. I like the way Dom took his car up on that that light rail so he could punch Superman. It was great." And his dad's sitting there, and his dad just looks like really, really unhappy. And the way he was talking about it, and the way he was able to get help from Goku, and Goku's a part of the family now, was great. And the dad starts complaining, he starts smashing the wheel and saying, "It used to be about racing and hot bitches."
Yep.
Oh dear, the simple things.
Yeah. Apex says, Mega Man. Yeah, Silent Green were good classics. Yeah. Just a great period there. Planet of the Apes came out during that time.
Yeah, you can tell that it's
The original.
part of the same genre.
For some reason,
yeah.
Charlton Heston really took to science fiction there for a while.
Yeah. Well, he's I saw a video with him quite a while ago. He was doing UFO videos, documentaries, but also he was doing sort of along the lines of what we were talking about earlier, the ancient history and how it might be different. And he was doing videos about that as well. So he liked all that stuff, and I think that's why he liked the science fiction films. But one of my favorite films of all time is Planet of the Apes, the original one.
Yeah.
I love that film.
Yeah, that was good. I love that one.
Well, Dragon Media. Question: who's going to be in cons the next few months?
Not me.
I am.
We'll be in a couple cons. We've got a couple more. I've got Graphics Comic Con returning there in November.
Yeah.
I got a couple other cons.
You're doing Motor City in October? Are we doing Motor City? Or
I would like to. I'm just not sure my schedule's going to allow for it.
Ah.
I'm waiting to see what they send for my surgery is the problem.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I should, I would love to go there. Motor City is a show that it's right in my back. Well, it's not my backyard, but it's my backyard, and that it's Michigan. I'm home. I could actually come home every night from that show, which I have. That I'm being truly lazy when I when I get a hotel room at that show. It's like, you just not want to go home. No, that's a 35-minute trip. I just don't feel like taking.
I can't be doing that now. 35 minutes of my life when I could be sitting with a mini bar. No.
He's got a good point.
Apex Comics laughs at your racing and bitches. He also says, I loved OG Planet of the Apes. Yes.
Yeah. It's
just classic stuff.
Yeah.
I need to sit and watch Silent Running again because it's been too long since I've watched
sad
that movie
film
as well. Yeah.
Big ego, like anthropomorphizing robots. Come on. You felt for those robots. You were sad. There was a tear in my eye as a kid watching that film. I tell you.
I did watch
powerful film.
I did watch Logan's Run quite a few months ago. I don't remember there being so much nudity in it, but I'm glad there was.
I remember. I watched it. When I was a teenager, so I remember that nudity.
Wow,
printed in my brain.
I'm sitting there watching that with her costume, and I'm like going, I bet she looked pretty good naked. And it says, yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
Oh, that's what Lee Majors was all excited about.
Yeah.
You've been a real good boy this year, Lee.
Apex wants to know, why does Varian look like a hot chick?
Yeah, that's one of my drawings. It's a panel from my comic, quickly colored by Kyle Ritter.
Rather lovely, actually, colored. Yes.
Yeah. There she is. It's one of the. It's actually that's funny thing is that's actually like a throwaway character. And he made her look like, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have her. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep her around a minute.
Amazing what a great colorist can do. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I like to share my. Sometimes it'll be a picture of a little Funko Pop, my art. Sometimes I'm Bale.
Funko
Pop. Which. I want to ask you too, Randy. And I thought this would be a good question for today's this morning's panel. Do you guys think that with I watched the whole I've watched the documentary on Thunderbirds and how Tracy Island is cursed. Like whenever they make the toys, they can never manufacture enough of them. So like every time someone gets a license, they find themselves unable to produce enough Tracy Island figures to quench public demand. So
that's just because that's how big it is over in Britain.
Yeah, I was wondering. Know there's been,
but if they were to make them off the movie, they'd be able to make enough.
That's harsh, but fair.
Sorry. I remember I've got a set of the Corgi die-cast metal Thunderbirds. Amazing. That's the thing that sells that toy isn't just the fact that it's Thunderbirds, but Corgi does an incredible toy. I mean, when they do die-cast metal, they're amazing. What there was a Thunderbirds or a SIG magazine that was available over in Britain back when Thunderbirds was out, and they had Bellamy, who is a very big English artist. You've heard Glenn Fleming talk about him in the past. Just a master craftsman. Come in and do 2-page spread Thunderbird comic strips. For that magazine that they have gone through and collected. And Bellamy was a master not just of storytelling, but he could do beautiful stipple work, and he also did phenomenal color work as well. And the cool thing about Thunderbirds is when he drew them, the machinery was spot on and just amazing. And 3/4 of Thunderbirds is, or at least half of Thunderbirds is the machinery that the Tracys used for international rescue. But the other part of the strip is he made those characters look like those puppets. And that was great. That strip, very rarely do you see that. I don't think it's been reprinted in the last 20, 30 years that I'm aware of. But it's phenomenal stuff. If you can find it, there are collections of it out there in trade paperback form that are just beautiful. You give me a second, I can go get mine. I know exactly where they are, and in order to show you, it's some great stuff. I'll be right back.
See, America, we get a hold of things like Thunderbirds. We make Team America, World Police. Hey, what do we have?
Fuck yeah!
Ooh, drawings.
Make it with the art.
Oh,
Book
yeah.
2.
This was something we were talking about earlier. We were talking about pacing in pages and how much background you put in, and whether you need a background. There's going to be a little bit more on the top left panel, but the bottom 3 panels don't need backgrounds.
Wow, sweet.
They just don't need it because you're focusing on the action on the characters. I say that's an example of what I do. I wouldn't suggest that I'm anywhere near the genius level of the people we've been talking about, but those are the people that I look up to, that I look at as inspiration to how to tell stories, rather than modern comics. That's not to say that there aren't great artists telling some good stories or telling stories well, but that's the direction my gaze is firmly fixed on.
Well,
Here's an example. Here's an example of the Thunderbird strip.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah. How good is that?
Just look at that machinery there. Just phenomenal stuff. And the character drawing, let me try to get the camera angle right here. Of course, my fingers are in the way. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
What you got against Bill Paxton, yo?
I don't have anything against Bill Paxton. I have a lot against Nickelodeon and Jonathan Frakes. Directed that movie. It completely obliterated his film directing career. Done. The UN done. And the whole idea of turning them into little kids was just quite frankly insulting. And
Yeah.
if they couldn't have held to the original idea behind here, look at this.
It's all there. Just make the bloody movie.
I don't even think that's Bellamy,
Yeah.
but look at the detail and the color on that. Just
Oh man.
especially now,
That might be John.
International Rescue would be such a great property.
Is that Burns?
Yeah.
I am not sure who it is. Take a look at that. There we go. There's a Thunderbird TB1. The mole right there.
Fantastic.
Coming out of TB2. There's Thunderbird 2 right there. Just beautiful stuff.
But you see, that's I have a bit of a bugbear about if you're going to produce something from a TV show or from a brand, then it must be recognizable.
Yes.
To what made the money in the first place, to what people wanted to see. Don't try and make something different of it.
They went through and did diagrams to show you how the machines work. That's
Look
just
at
great
that.
stuff. Old style
Nice.
breakouts, with the machinery, just phenomenal stuff. And all of these volumes, they had a whole series of them that off of Thunderbirds. There's Thunderbirds in Space. There's Thunderbirds Danger Zone. There's Thunderbirds in Action. Thunderbirds Shockwave. It's beautiful, beautiful paintings in the front. That reminds me of the guy that did the paintings on the Captain Scarlet opening. So look at that. Look at that face. This is definitely
Captain Scarlet, indestructible.
Bellamy right there. Look at the hood picture right there. Just amazing. That back end shot of Thunderbird 1. Just great stuff. Lots of fun. And
yeah, I had the die-cast toy of Thunderbird one when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I used to do the brochures for Hornby.
Let me show that.
And we had a lot of those kind of toys in there.
There's 3.
They were great fun.
I had 3 too.
My brothers were so into Thunderbirds when it was first on. It was on from like 8 to 9 in the morning. They'd watch it with notebook paper and sat there and worked out all the schematics for it.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And sat and did their own machines. They did all of the Thunderbirds except for number 2 that they couldn't get large enough. But they had the mold done. They did a phenomenal Thunderbird 3, the Thunderbird 1. And like I said, they took my sandbox and turned it into Tracy Island. Pissed me off.
On that theme, I did these for Ben 10.
There we go.
And the whole brief was, create the comic, do your thing, make a comic book, make it work, but at the same time, make it look like the show.
Right.
And so some of the stuff I saw in those Thunderbirds pages where, you would never see the puppets able to do the positions because he was figure drawing in some of those areas. And yet it still had that impression of being the show, and whether there's stilted animation or whether there's, whether you're creating anatomy for characters that are, still because they're puppets, you can still tell the story, but at the same time get over the feel and the look and the original impression of the characters in the show.
Yep.
I managed to do that for Ben 10, but I had an easier job than that. That artwork is just stunning.
And and it would be a couple pages every issue.
Yeah.
Because that's how long it took to do. So, and they also did everything that Gary Anderson did was done in comic form. There's Stingray. It's probably a strip before your time, Barry.
Yeah, now were those puppets too? Or was that
That's
just
definitely before mine.
That was all
Stingray
Super Marionation, yeah. Stingray was Fireball XL5, Thunderbird
around the universe on fire. Let's have fun.
That's a childhood right there. But yeah, if you ever see those Corgi toys at a show, they're amazing. And they didn't just do Thunderbirds; they did all sorts of different toys. The Lady Penelope's Rolls Royce is also amazing. Die-cast metal, just phenomenal. She had a pink Rolls Royce that she used to drive with. Remember? Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
I remember
pink Rolls Royce, extended Rolls Royce.
Yeah,
with 6 wheels.
Yeah,
I remember watching Thunderbirds as a little boy. Early in the morning, I'm watching. I'm like, what is this? This must be what people make when they're high.
Most of the kids' stuff from the UK was made by people who were high. Especially in the 70s.
That's the Rolls Royce right there.
The Fab one.
Yep.
FAB. Nobody knows what FAB means.
Especially nowadays.
Well, I heard the story that he just made it up and said, well, I just wanted something that sounded really good. It doesn't have to mean anything.
Well, and back then, a big term was fabulous.
Yeah, fab.
You know, like absolutely fabulous. So everything was FAB. Yeah. Or SIG, situation is go.
As against FUBAR.
As against FUBAR, yes. Great stuff back then. Apex is yelling, Stingray, Stingray. Yeah.
Weren't those magazines in Europe? Says
Rolls Royce with a bubble.
Did you see that from YouTube? Phaser Co says, weren't those magazines in Europe?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were mostly British. You see them imported over here every once in a while, or like I said, and they stuck them all into collections and sold them all over the place. So.
Those old British magazines, some that was TV 21 or whatever it was, and
Ravette books,
yeah,
UK price £2.99.
And the old Eagle books, and I mean they were all a little bit before my time, but superb stuff.
Just amazing reading, a lot of fun.
The only thing that the only master puppetry work I know again was Team America. That was master puppetry right there. No, it
definitely a lost art, but they did Team America because they couldn't get the rights to any of the Super Marionation stuff.
Yeah.
So they did their own, especially because they wanted to do adult situations with them. You know, they should have kept that going. Yeah, they should have. That you know, that's what the streaming services are for. Let's see the adult Super Marionation series out now.
That would be fun. That's gonna go, don't you? There's gonna be a lot of clanking.
A lot of crossed wires.
Yeah.
A lot of cross strings.
The Thunder Boys. Thunder Boys.
Thunder Boys.
That's a whole different show, Barry.
Yeah, it
is. They're starring with the new Gay Galactus.
Was it G4 used to run Thunderbirds with like a cross between the VH1 pop-up videos and the episodes, where they'd point out all of the different things that happened on the strip. It's like here's a cabinet handle, you know, here's a knob from somebody's radio, you know, to just pop up and point out the oddball. So I'm shocked they haven't kept that going, or that there's not a service somewhere out there that's not playing them. It was like pop-up Thunderbirds or something like that. They played whole episodes with it, and it was really cool because they'd have these little oddball bits of information pop up during the story.
Yeah, I remember they used to do a pop-up video like that, and I thought it was a really cool concept. And
it was the same idea, only with a Thunderbirds episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think either Tubi or Pluto for a while were running one of those series. I think Fireball X1 there.
XL5?
XL5 rather. They were running they had like a couple of the different series runs, and they were like, you know, on demand on the servers that you can watch them.
Yeah. I think the Hulu or one of the streaming services offers all of that Super Marionation stuff still. It's available. At least Fireball XL5, Stingray, and I'm not sure about Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet, but I know the older ones are still up there.
Did Thunderbirds ever have? I know they had toys, but did they ever have action figures that looked like the puppets?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I've seen the vehicles and everything, and I'm like, I mean, the vehicles are cool, but that means that I have to get out and go search they have to rescue people.
I saw an English Antiques Roadshow, because they have those on Pluto, where somebody had a Lady Penelope puppet that was actually used. And the person that they had there to grade it was just drooling over it and marveling at it and talking about all of the points of articulation and exactly how rare it was. And they ended up appraising that puppet for £10,000.
Oh,
wow.
Was it a blow-up one?
No, it was an actual puppet that they used.
Good Lord.
I mean,
it wasn't yours, Russ. It
Points
was
of
someone else's.
articulation you have.
because you know they had a bunch of they probably had 4 or 5 different puppets of each character that they were able to use for different
Usually,
reasons. Yeah. They had it in a glass tube, and the guy was just he was looking at it like it was fine art. It was phenomenal, amazing.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah,
it is fine art.
Yeah.
Definitely a lost art. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to take her home, the puppet, and the cops catch you on the phone, taking her home. Now I got her in the glass. No, I'm never letting her out. Don't you touch her.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Lady Penelope was patterned after Gary Anderson's wife. It was quite the looker back then.
Interesting.
Yeah, I am from the generation after Thunderbirds, but my brother had like the base and all the metal die figures. So I remember, I know it, but like I missed so much of it. I should really watch that show.
They're dated, but they're still fun to watch. You know, and well, of course, everything
stuff.
late 60s type stuff is all, you know, FAB and
yeah.
If you go in
everything's all fab and cool. And
So would the natural predator of the Thunderbirds be the Thundercats?
no.
Ah.
The cool thing about the show is that there wasn't the only big supervillain out there was the Hood, and he was always looking to steal their designs and get them on camera. And they always insisted to never be photographed because they tried to keep all of their mechanicals to themselves.
So he'd set up like disasters,
so he could film them.
So he could film them and
wow,
or steal the devices. Yeah,
so take their technology.
He's like, I'm.
Yeah, it was a simple time.
But most of the time, though, they were
awesome,
fighting. They weren't really fighting villains or anything like that. They were trying to save people from natural disasters. That's why they had all of the different Thunderbirds, and they had the satellite Thunderbird 5 that would always pick up all the radio transmissions. If there was a serious disaster somewhere, the Thunderbirds would just appear and save people and then disappear.
They were mysterious. It was great.
International Rescue would come in. I don't know. Even they had a ship that was flying too close to the sun. They sent Thunderbird 3 out after it to bring it back.
Let me tell you something. I'm pretty sure. I know they were millionaires, but man, the insurance.
Oh, they were doing everything by the seat of their. You know, there wasn't any insurance, but Tracy, the dad, was the first person to walk on the moon. So that apparently made him super rich.
Yeah. This is before anybody had actually walked on the moon.
Yeah.
Anything could happen in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, he took care of those sponsorships immediately, obviously.
Yeah.
Right away.
I want to walk on the moon. Snickers, you want? I got an arm, I got a shoulder left. You can put your tag on me.
Snickers. Get me a Snickers.
We want to thank.
Did you guys have any of the adverts from Mr. T for eating Snickers in the States?
No,
I have them in the Netherlands. We have them in the Netherlands. I know that much.
Mr. T, yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, no, we just had we just have was it Hungry While Wait?
No, Mr. T's much funnier.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious.
Cool.
Russ, do you remember the ad for the two women playing tennis, and they're screaming every time they make a hit, and eventually the referees start screaming in the same way? I don't remember what it was for.
No, but I remember the screaming.
Man, that was a good commercial.
We do swap commercials over in Europe occasionally.
There's another rabbit hole, folks. Thank you.
Yeah.
we want to thank everybody. We want to thank everybody for listening. Thanks everybody for contributing to the show. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to our radio listeners out there. This has been another episode of Sunday Funnies for the 19th of September, 2021. And again, we deeply appreciate you listening. Will, let folks know how they can find you.
You can find me anywhere I'll be if you just go to Linktree and search for Creators Outlet.
There you go. Mike Jimmy, let folks know how they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at @and_ents. You can find me on Facebook as Fairies and Ents. Next week, we are launching the Radiant Side issue 1 on Indiegogo. So that's going to be a completely new series. And if you like K-drama and romance, then check out the comic. And otherwise, you'll find me here and doing all kinds of stuff with comics. So yeah, hit me up, look for me, and you'll probably find me. Mike Jimmy de Brand. It's that easy.
Cool. Russ, let folks know how they can find you.
You can find me outside my house shouting at parked cars on occasions. And you can also find me on the Twitter and the Facebook at Minds. You can find me at Instagram. Please follow me there. More importantly, you can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. I do a drawing stream on a Monday night. I'm on with Joe and hanging out with these guys when they let me. And you can find out more about my book, onlydeathcansavus.com, more about me at russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com. Don't forget to check out Arrow Comics. Don't forget to check out Liberty Distribution.
Yes, please. Varian, let folks know how they can find you.
Sure, KYD_V on Twitter. Varian Grant, pretty much on every other social media network. Check out my publishing company, lastcallcomics.com. And then, of course, Indie Vault, Liberty Entertainment Distribution Group, LEDG.us. Randy and I'll be back here Tuesday with Indie Vault Live Wire, another packed show, and a new segment called Is It Porn, Though?
Is it porn?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, we're going to take a look at scenes in comics and decide and see if the creator or artist was trying to actually do something a little less kosher.
Or they just traced it.
Yeah. Take a look at that. It's going to be fun.
Is that going to be the Greg Land segment?
I'm not suggesting anything like that. That's not.
Okay.
No.
It could be the Author Sundom segment.
Oh.
I would never do such a thing.
That's it for me.
That's it for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then again on Wednesday nights, hopefully soon, the Indie Princess will bring back Geekgasm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking right. I know we had a card for this at one point. One of these days, we'll also get Eric back up and doing the Webtoon show, or at least a digital comics show. Tuesday nights live wire at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Geekgasm's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. Thursday morning, Varian and I will be back for the Breakfast Buzz at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday, we have nothing planned right now, though it says there Art of War to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, Pitches Be Crazy, which is a great variety show that Brandon hosts, that has a couple of people on that have campaigns, and they pitch their campaigns in interesting and unique ways. And then the winner of the show ends up having their campaign backed by Indie Vote for up to $50. Then again, we'll be back on Sunday Funnies next Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe someday Varian will decide to do another special issues later on in Sunday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever issues arise, whenever news breaks, we'll break it.
That's right. Completely.
Right. Completely in half. In the meantime, I've been your host. I'm Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook under Randy Zimmerman. You can find me under Twitter under Randy Zim, but not very often. I don't go up there very much. Arrow Comics 4.0 has a link tree, has a Twitter, has an Instagram, and 2 Facebook pages, one for Arrow Comics 4.0 and Friends of Arrow Comics 4.0, where you can learn more about books that we have like Hero Bot Zero, Indie Volt, Revolt, Luke Stone's Hybrids, and our thoughts and prayers are still with Luke Stone as he's fighting COVID in Florida right now. We wish him the best of health and an incredibly quick recovery. The last bit of news we had was positive, and we can't wait to have him back up on his feet and creating again and back up on the air. Only Death Can Save Us, and one of these days soon, hopefully, we'll get Paragon out there as well as Calico Shard available as well. And for more information on all of that, you can pop over to the Arrow Comics 4.0 pages on Facebook. Hopefully soon also we'll have a website up but Facebook's probably your best bet now, and Twitter and Instagram for notifications and looks at artwork as they become available. And we deeply appreciate you listening this morning. Anything else, Varian?
No, that's it for me.
Do we have any sponsors we want to talk about?
No.
No, not for Sunday Funnies. Sunday Funnies is always looking for sponsors, folks. And if you ever get over to YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and don't be afraid to super chat more often. The Indie Volt radio network is now monetized and available. All the super chat money does go to Varian to help him afford his the broadband on the internet radio. Do we have any numbers for internet radio?
I know it's been down all night.
It's down.
And today too, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Not a problem. Hey, everybody. We thanks again. We'll see you back again next Sunday for more fun. Maybe even a few more rabbit holes. You never know. So thanks again for listening. Make sure you leave, as Varian likes to say, make sure you leave this industry in better shape than what you found it. And as Daphne, who has been MIA these last few weeks, will also say, please buy independent and alternative comics, especially ours. So take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Stay awesome, lovelies.
Stay awesome. See ya. We're going out the same way we came in. See you then. Take care.
Harry, what is it?
The stuff that dreams are made of.
Huh?
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.